Hi, folks. Welcome back to this week's Leeds View podcast. If you're listening on the audio platforms, all the details to support the channel will be down below. Give us a follow as well as a rating on the audio platforms if you can. And if you're watching on YouTube, hello, good afternoon, good evening. Hope you're all doing well. Again, all of the supporting affiliate links and everything else, new merch from the channel are all listed down below. First time we get to say this, I'm delighted again tonight to be joined by Gerry McNamee and by Paul Brooker in the now double award-winning Leeds View podcast that cleaned up last week at the Football Creator Awards, and we won Best Premier League Podcast and Best Premier League Content Creator. So we're accredited now, lads. So we're legit. We have to step up our game a little bit. But we'll check out the voice. Gerry, how are you doing, mate?
Not bad. A very small part of what you do, Gerry, in fairness. Your output's brilliant. Totally deserved. I'm absolutely delighted. Yeah. We're into Europe now, are we? I don't know. What is that?
We qualified,
yeah. Not bad. Disappointing. You know, it's where it's not. We're not in a good place at the moment with this team at the moment. No. It's like we had the love of our lives, Bielsa, and it ended heartbroken. We fell in with this American who told us he was giving us the art, and he was terrible, and he went, and then we fell into a load of one night stands, and then when things were bad, Daniel came in and he sorted us out, in fairness. But now I want him, he's gone into a dull mode and want him to change. He's sitting there with his face pack and his curlers on, and I want to do exciting things. You want to change, you want to do other stuff, and he won't do it. And I think it might be, I'm going to say, I love you, Daniel, but it's come to an end. I feel I need to spread my wings. That's how I feel at the moment about Leeds. And Daniel, I'm looking at the sky for the yellow banner. Nothing's come up. So disappointing game. Did well. It was better in isolation. It was a good performance compared to the others, but we fell away and we didn't react. And it's the same old. And I think things are coming to a head, but how soon, I don't know. But other than that, I'm fine. Ronaldo got let off his 2-match ban. Of course he did. We knew
we said it would happen, didn't we? We said that FIFA would find a way to get him to the World Cup, didn't we?
God. Anyway, that's an aside. Anyway.
Yeah. Well,
I'm fine. Good evening, everybody.
Yeah, it's a bit of therapy session tonight. Speaking of therapy, Paul from the Leeds Therapy is with us again tonight. Yeah. Paul, how are you doing? How did you fare over the weekend after the positive we had on Thursday night, and then followed by the unfortunately the negative result of the weekend?
That was a very tenuous, smooth link with therapy.
Wasn't it just?
You could just see, look at that double award winning, and just the levels just rise.
Smooth segues.
Smooth. It was very, very smooth. The award ceremony was an absolute delight. There was a lot of people there. I said that we'd be having chicken, potato, and some kind of vegetable, and we did. So I got that right. The pictures were nice. It was nice to see everybody. It was nice to meet a few people as well. Martin Tyler and Phil Hay and that type of stuff. But to win, well, to be nominated in the first instance, but to win twice is nuts. I'd like to thank you for making me give the speech at the second point, which was
I didn't know what to say.
Expected. I kind of fumbled my way through that. The pictures look good though, but no, it's great. It's it's credit to you, Jeff, for what you do and your professionalism, but also as well, it's like I say, it's a team effort. There's everybody that contributes to it that makes it what it is. But I know how, from a personal point of view, how you were feeling about everything, a few months ago, and to see where it is now is an incredible thing. It's just nice that people still like the balanced, normal kind of just let's talk about the facts and put the facts out there, rather than screaming and carrying on and acting like you've had 800 Red Bulls before you've come on to
That's later.
Yeah, well, yeah, it could be, yeah, but it's just nice to be rewarded for that and for people to say such nice things about us as well, which is lovely. Then we move on to the football.
Do we have to?
Well, not really. I mean, we could just skip over it, really. Thanks for coming, everyone. Thanks. It's been a great night. I'm preparing myself for the weekend. Just getting ready for the weekend's game against Man City. So looking forward to that one.
I just said that.
Lots of follow-up questions.
Yeah, for the non-visual people there, that's my little tub of Vaseline that I have. I've got some sore lips at the moment, which could be getting a lot sorer at the weekend, let me tell you. But no, I was gutted after I saw what I wanted to see in the first half. Really, really good fight. Really, really good performance. I was pleased with what I saw. People thundering into tackles, just what we needed to see. Got the crowd on side. The crowd were a little bit not too sure at the start of it. John McGinn was just refereeing the game.
Yeah.
Which is what John McGinn does. And then in the second half, I don't know. There isn't, you can't legislate for what happened in the second half. I was concerned at the fact that Farker wasn't out at the start of the second half. He came out
2 minutes.
2 minutes after that happened, just as they were attacking, and it was just like I'm not sure about this, and I felt like he hid a little bit in the second half as well. He wasn't animated enough for me, wasn't getting on it enough for me. Yeah, it's things need to change. What that could be, who knows? But I just feel like things need to change now if we want to stay in the Premier League. Where I'm at with it now, things need to change.
Yeah, before we get that, I just want to go back to the awards real quickly, just to say thanks to Gerry for contributing to the channel as well, Paul for contributing to the channel, Joe Blackburn, who does match reaction, press conference reactions and watch-alongs with me over on bigup.com, Joe Wayman for giving me a platform in the first place to get this off the ground, and anybody who's contributed and been on this channel, Alex from American in Leeds, who does the Sunday sessions with us as well. So lots of people that have contributed to this over the last couple of years, and very grateful and thankful to everybody that has gotten involved. But yeah, back to the football. And yeah, I think, Gerry, it's probably fair, and look, everyone has an opinion on this, and I keep saying it. You know, it's a stressful time, and people are venting as well. So, just if you do have a different opinion to us, there's no problem, absolutely no issue at all. Leave it down below. Do it in the right way. Be respectful of everyone else's opinion as well. They'll be respectful of yours, and we can have a proper conversation about it and keep it that way. But there was some good stuff in this game. There was a 45 minutes where we saw a return to what we saw against Everton and Newcastle. Maybe started to fall off a little bit before halftime, and you just thought, come out in the second half and go again. And then we saw that little 10-yard drop off that we've seen before, and Villa made proactive changes, felt that they could attack an area of weakness. As Emery said, he thought Leeds had an area that they could attack in the second half, and they went for it. It took 2 minutes for them to equalise, and then unfortunately they score again, and it takes Leeds until after that goal goes in before Leeds have a go. But they did have a go towards the end. There wasn't that meekness that was there against Forest and Brighton in the second half. Some of that might be due to the fact that it was in Ellen Road, but comparing the two halves and trying to balance out positives and negatives from this game, where was your head at?
Yeah, I totally agree. I think I said to you before the game when I saw the team, not surprised in any way. As I said, I think this is his resignation letter, because it was the same team except Pascal in for Bijol, which is interesting. Our £15 million centre half is seems to be surplus at this stage, or not good enough. But in fairness, Pascal, he played really well. I thought he played well. Him and Joe Rodon were. I mean, Joe did his usual extra speed, and they were covering well. And we got the goal. I mean, in the ground it was strange because we thought that's never a goal. It's a foul on the keeper. It's offside. It's a handball, and actually shocked when it was shocked it was given, because usually keeper. But when you look at it, it was Stack fell very awkwardly on his neck and obviously had to come off. But Nemecha, striker, bounced off his shins, and we were looking. You thought, yeah, this is a reaction to what happened. Tanaka came on obviously for Stat, which wasn't planned, and I thought he was excellent, probably our best player. He was like the Tanaka of old. He was getting those little turns. He was busy. And just before the end of the first half, you thought, I need to get to the end of this half because Villa are coming back into this. And straight away, Villa make two changes. The whole of it was their left-hand side or our left-hand side. Our left. And straight away, it's the same goal in behind our left back. And do you blame Gabby for this? It's who's covering, because he seemed to not be close enough to the attacker. And then Okafor comes in half-hard. The ball comes across again. 2 or 3 players in the box, and Morgan, great touch, but shouldn't really be there. And do you question the keeper? I don't know. There's other stuff we question the keeper for. Was his position? Somebody said he'd fallen into the goals. And
I think he'd gone up over his shoulder before he'd fallen into the goal. It was a tricky. I don't think he sees the ball at all in the first one.
Yeah, but then but as somebody said, if you're a manager coming out for the second half against Leeds, you've got 25 minutes to make changes because Leeds aren't changing unless they have to. And 70 minutes, it takes us 70 minutes to change it. And I mean, the free kick, again, Goodmanson, he slipped at one of those things and Strike had to do the foul. But
Yeah,
you look at it from all angles, and the keeper did it early. He's making himself dead small. We could see. Look at he's going to put it in the top. You can see the gap. Joe Rodon should have jumped. Very odd way of and the keepers again. 18 million for a keeper. Is he better than Darlow? I don't know. And Villa had their chances. But in fairness, when we did change at 70 minutes, when Dan James and Nonto come on, I think Brendan thought he was coming off earlier because he ran to the touchline. It was the number 11 Villa player. I think he knew. I mean, he did as usual, lose the ball. He's going for tentative, too many touches, lose, and they almost score. But yeah, Willie and Dan James were making a difference. The goal, it was a handball, and unfortunately, probably could have chested it in, but it came across very quick. But we did try to come back, but it was always too little, too late. You stick players on in the 80th minute again, Pirro, and throw everybody, all the attackers. And as you said earlier, it seems to be. We don't seem to have an organised plan. We should be tweaking it straight away. I see there are two players on. What's he doing? Let's change this. But there's no changes, and it's the same 70-minute sub. Throw everybody on, panic, and see what we can do. And we maybe nicked, and it wasn't the worst performance, but overall, you thought nothing is changing. And that is the most frustrating thing. And you look at the list of players we bought this summer. It's coming back to recruitment. The keeper, Bijol, Barnow. Remember him? Has anybody ever seen him? I've seen him at Sheffield once. And there's 30 plus million, and it's not good enough. And you look at our strikers, and they're not getting the support because we haven't bought the attacking options or not playing them. And I expect the same team basically to roll out at the empty ad this week. And and we know it's going to be a tough one, whatever happens. Could be a free pass, it's going to be a tough one. But overall disappointment. And there was apathy at the end. There was couldn't really hear the fans singing, you don't make a sub, but apparently they did in the
60 minutes,
and, was that you, Paul? And I would have joined in. And there was that guy who tried. I think he made more headway up the touchline than some of our attackers. Actually, the guy who tried to get it. What an idiot! He's banned now. What are you trying? Are you going to tear up your digital ticket on your? But anyway, Daniel Fark said he didn't see him. Probably he thought he was a sub. But there you go. So it was. I was coming out. It was just apathy, and it was wet, and it was miserable, and I just wanted to go home.
Yeah, everyone's keen to get out of the ground at that point, I think. Yeah, it was a weird atmosphere. Paul, you were in the ground, the weird atmosphere towards the end, but it started so well again. Questions, few questions. I mean, the Perry stuff I wanted to kind of cover off real quickly because I've seen Joe Hart talking about it as well. And he's saying it's actually, it's a difficult free kick because he's only 18 yards out, so he doesn't have a huge amount of time to react. But actually, if you look at Emi Martinez, he's positioned a wall as well beside the Leeds wall. And I think Perry's making himself small to try and find a gap, to try and see the ball. And then when Joe Rodon doesn't jump, it goes over his head straight, just barely skims top of his head. And then Perry doesn't see it till it's gone past Rodon. It's probably still close enough to flick a hand out and try and do something. But at the same time, it's a difficult. I saw the angle from behind the goal, but like you're at a height. So when you're up at that height, you can see the ball, the wall, the keeper, you can see it all. But when you're at the goalkeeper's level, he can't see anything. And maybe that's his fault for not positioning the wall correctly, not giving him a gap to see the football. But it's a very short distance, but he possibly should do better for the second one at least. The wall needs to do better as well. Again, we're at that same position where there's accountability across the board. The first goal as well, it gets in around the back of Gabby. Okafor doesn't track the first guy that makes the run for the cross. But then it's Morgan Rogers runs away from Ethan Ampadu and Sean Longstaff and runs off the back of both of them and then Jaden Bogle at the last second runs across to try and get there, and it's in the back of the net. So again, switching off again, lots of players switching off at the wrong time. Team looked tired at 60 minutes, which is a concern as well. But yeah, what were your thoughts on all that stuff? Lot to take there.
It is the archetypal game of two halves for me. I watched in this at half time. I think I sent you a message saying there's two Villa players here that are really warming up, which says to me he's going to bring a double substitution on. Emery said at full time that he thought that the pace that Leeds had set, that they wouldn't be able to keep it up, so that they would tire, and that was something that he noticed in the last few games as well. So it's something that they worked on. They were pretty much 4-2-3-1, I think, in the first half, but then in the second half they went 4-4-2 with Rodgers just off of the striker as well. They moved Watkins, who was absolutely beautifully marshalled by Rodon, by the way.
Yeah, he was.
Despite his head for the head, but for the not jumping properly for the goal. But it was the first half was fine. It's what I it's what I wanted to see. I wanted to see fight. I wanted to see a little bit of grit and grizzle. I'm very, very well aware of our position in this league and what we are and what's expected of us in this league. The players that we have are good enough to stay up. That's just my personal opinion. That's how I feel about it. Do we need them to be technically gifted? No. We just need them to be able to be strong, resolute, and always putting forward the best foot all the time and always giving 110%.
Kick harder, run faster, run further.
Yeah, that's it. Just make a nuisance of yourself. And what were we doing really, really well in the first half? What was Goodmanson doing? What was Bogle doing? They were right up behind the players, put in constantly, which then gives either on the left-hand side or the right-hand side chance to come over as a midfielder and back them up at the same time as well and snuff out the attack, which was what was happening constantly. We were snuffing out everything and it was working really, really well. And then the second half, we just sit 10 yards deeper for whatever reason, whether that's, and I'm beginning to think that it is a coaching thing. I don't think it's the guys are going, oh, well, we need to think. I think it's
every game.
Yeah, just sit in.
Every game.
Just sit in for 10 minutes and just hold it as to where we are. But the visible fall off in pace and just overall kind of aptitude just was a bit surprising in the second half. Yes, they still kind of got to it and tackled really, really well. But it wasn't until we made the substitutions and then magically, and James comes on and what happens?
Crosses.
It's crosses, stretching the team. Digne can't get up as much as what he was doing before. Nonto comes on. What's Nonto doing? He's buzzing down the wing. He's cutting on the inside. He's giving Cash something to think about and making Cash struggle a little bit more. And Dan James nearly scores with like his second touch. I look at that and go, why didn't we make this substitution sooner? Particularly if they moved to 4-4-2. Had we brought Dan James on, that would have played into our hands. I'm not saying we would have won the game, Ger. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is it would have given us a much better chance. Clearly, the guys were getting tired. Heads didn't seem to go down in any way, shape, or form. But it was almost like the second goal went in and it was almost, oh, here we go again kind of thing. Not from the fans, but more so from the players. And you could almost sense that the players were like, come on, make a substitution.
Yeah.
They need to do something here and just make something happen to try and turn this around. And to make a substitution in the 70th minute and then the 78th minute, you're like, what's the point? Genuinely, what's the point? It's not, I find it frustrating. And yeah, I think a lot of the fans in the pitch well, apart from the one fan on the pitch, but the fans that were in the stand, that was a lot of the grumblings that I was getting and that I was feeling in the stands. When we were performing and doing well, we were absolutely behind them, but you could hear people verbally getting more and more annoyed with how everything was going. And that anger went on to Aronson because there was a break from a corner and he lost the ball at the wrong minute because Nemecha on the left-hand side of him was clean through. All he needed to do was just roll it into Nemecha's feet and he took it one step too far. And that just absolutely, that sent everybody. And unfortunately, that then became the focus for everybody. And like we said before we came on air, the big cheer wasn't for the fact that Aronson was getting substituted. It was for the fact that a substitution was being made. We were too reactive at that point and there was nothing that we could do. And we know how it's going to go. if it's not working, throw all the attackers on and we'll go 4-2-4. And it just is, like I said, it's frustrating and it's depressing because we're better than that. We are better than that.
Yeah, I think so.
Gerry, there was an interesting conversation topic after the game. There was lots of visuals of Tanaka and Dan Farke having a conversation on the sideline, and then that appeared to carry on after the game as the players went over to the cop to applaud them. Farke and Tanaka were still in conversation. Tanaka still at that point didn't look happy. I heard somebody else today say that actually the conversation that happened on the touchline actually continued onto the substitute bench and then continued onto the pitch again. That's a good 25 minutes of a conversation between Daniel Farke and now Tanaka. Tanaka clearly wasn't impressed, but he was probably Leeds' best player once he came onto the pitch for Stack. I'll put the ratings up on the screen just to add to this. We are going to start using the Finalysis ratings for the players. You can see them on screen. If you listen to audio, I'll go through them. They're out of 100 each player. I work with Finalysis along with a couple of other Leeds creators. There's 500 Leeds fans who contribute to these ratings. So these are fan ratings based on the game. So I'll go through them in a second. But Tanaka's rated as one of Leeds' best players in that game. Gets a booking in the first half. And he, to be fair, he is throwing himself into tackles in the second half. And there's a conversation that apparently that happened where the referee had told the fourth official, if he does it again, he's getting sent off. One more bad tackle, one more late tackle, and he's gone. Now, at that point, Jayden Bogle is also on a yellow card and Ethan Ampadu is on a yellow card. Now, Ethan Ampadu has shown, and Bogle have both shown this year, that they will stick a leg into somebody if they get away from them. So there's a risk of those two players potentially also picking up a second yellow. Do you think, and I know my thoughts on this, but do you think there's a management situation there where the manager has to trust that player to manage out the game, an experienced enough player like Tanaka, an international player, and just say to him, I need you to stand up. Don't commit to some tackles now for a few minutes. Just delay the game if you can. Delay the player. Don't commit and manage this game out or else you're going to get sent off. But he decided to just take him out completely. And as Paul said, you brought on all these attacking players and you've now removed the only progressive passer that you've got in there to try and link the play with them.
It's a tricky one because at the time we just thought, what does he do, and taking Tanaka off. But I can understand the way, because if Stack is going to be out because of the concussion protocol, and it is a 50-50 decision, you know, because if the refs say, I don't know if the ref's supposed to say that, but in fairness, he did. And he does go in sometimes a bit late. And I think last season the same thing happened where he went in for a and got away with it, and he was subbed straight away. So I suppose I wouldn't hang him out to dry on that one, Fark. Because, as you say, Ampadu as well as one. He has to stay bookless for the next 7 games, or else he gets a suspension now, apparently, from what I hear. But yes, there was a lot of yellow cards around, but I think he was on a yellow plus, so I can understand why. It was a shame he had to come off because he was our most progressive player, and that's just a call the manager had to make. But it's a small call compared to what else he's doing tactically. And I wouldn't give him stick for that. But yeah, Tanaka, we probably will need him next week. But whether he'd be able to function against Man City or he can get hold of the ball is another matter. But the referee was a bit inconsistent. He was letting stuff go and he was pulling. Like a lot of refs do. Yeah, I think you want refs. I remember refs in the 70s that were teachers and were little stubby men. And this guy looked like he'd been working out in weights all week, didn't he?
Been on the stage.
At one stage, I think him and the linesman looked at each other about a throw in and said, "Well, you go. No, you do it. No, you do it." You said. So yeah, it was a shame he had to come off. But I'm looking at those stats. I'm surprised Pascal's so low because I thought he did all right. I thought he was quite productive first half. So I wouldn't have marked him down that low. But that's the way to go. But the rest look pretty decent. Joe Rhodes on 67. He's always the best player we have. But yeah, it's a shame. It's a shame Tanaka is such a thug, isn't it? Little thug that he is.
Yeah. The ratings for everyone who's listening as well, just so everyone gets a look at, these are out of 100 and they're an cumulative total of over 500 votes from Leeds United fans. So Lucas Perry was given 42 out of 100, Jayden Bogle 62, Joe Rodon 67, Pascal Stroke 54, Gabby Goodmunson 61, Sean Longstaff 60, Ethan Ampadu 62. Anton Stack 51, but probably because he went off in the first 25 minutes of the game. Brendan Aronson at 50, Lucas Mecha 62 gets a goal, and Noah Okafor at 58. And then from the subs, Dan James 59, Calvert-Lewin 47, Piru 43, Out Tanaka 64, and Willie Nonto 55. And the manager was given a rating of 39 for that game as well. So they're all there. They're on Finalysis on the app. If you want to get your hands on that, you can, and you can contribute to that as well. If you want to get involved in it, just go in and sign up at Finalysis, and you can put your own statistics up on the screen. I want to ask both of you the same question, and Gerry, I'll come to you first because it was a short answer last time. I don't want to get more detail off you on this. There was a conversation yesterday on BBC West Yorkshire where Jamie, the Bradford commentator, said that Daniel Farke has a bit of an identity crisis right now when it comes to Leeds United. We saw him go from the 4-3-3 to a 4-2-3-1 on Sunday. It was there for roughly 2.5 minutes before he then decided to pull Brendan Aronson out as the 10 and put a striker on and go 4-4-2 or 4-2-4. But in general, there seems to be an identity crisis, not just from that decision, but also from the recruitment versus the style of play. We're now seeing more of the new players that have come in start to come back out of the team, and we're getting closer and closer to last year's championship side with maybe one or two exceptions. And I think the question is, what is this Leeds United team supposed to be? Like, who are Leeds United? What is Daniel Farke's blueprint with this side? Because it doesn't seem to know what it is week to week.
Yeah, well, recruitment, and it was said, recruitment was we were going to get more physical and get a lot of big buggers in, which we did, and not playing them all really, or not rotating. And I think that, I suppose, identity is too much of an identity. You can identify this team before it's picked. You know exactly what it's going to be. There's no rotation. If players are looking tired, they need to come out and try the others. And James Justin is there, and he's a decent Premier League player. He should be getting more time on the pitch. And as I say, my old mate Barna, never seen him. Is he any good? What's the problem? We signed him for 5 million not to be sniffed at. So these players, they need to rotate, and certainly up front. And it's what we said earlier. We're rigid, tight, try to be defensive, which we're not doing at the moment because we conceded 8 goals in the last 3 games. And when it's going wrong, I had a Villa fan with me, and I said, "You watch 70th minute, we don't make the sub." And I explained exactly what was going to happen, and it did. I looked like a genius, but I'm not. I'm just there every week, and I see it.
Yeah,
and then as you say, we go to this formation, and then it's just chuck everybody on. Are you striker? Go on, you go. Yeah, have we got room for any more? And it's just chaos. And I feel sorry for someone like Peru because he just gets chucked in with 10 minutes or less to go, and what's he supposed to do? You know, give him a chance and try out something different. So, because our identity is we don't change. We've got the one identity, and the rest of it is just like a cement mixture, and just chuck it all in and see what comes out. Cement mixer, that's what we are.
That's what we are. Paul, is it throwing things at a wall at this stage, or do we need to start throwing some things at a wall and seeing what's different?
Well, we've been talking about it for ages, haven't we? That it would be nice to see some sort of flexibility, some sort of change, something a little bit different. I agree with Gerry. I feel for Pirro. I thought he looked all right when he came on.
Kind of feels like he's the Sunday League player that's told go on and run about a bit.
Yeah, pretty much. And I'm sorry, but I think that's a bit disrespectful to your. Not saying you're being disrespectful. I think Farke's been mildly disrespectful to Pirro, given that he was our leading scorer last season. I would say that.
I'm not describing Joe Pirro as a Sunday League player, by the way. I'm just making the comparison to a Sunday League player who's told to go on and run about.
Yeah. I've had flashbacks there when you said that.
I think that we recruited in a way that was sensible, that we all got on board with, where we all thought, right, okay, we're going to be big, strong, difficult. We're going to have a little bit of fight, and it's going to be very much Route 1 style football. It's going to be long balls into the striker, and the wingers picking up the knockdowns, or the midfielders picking up the knockdowns, and then moving it from there. We're going to sit in, we're going to be able to soak up, and then we're going to beat on the counter-attack. I don't think Farke likes playing like that. I think Farke wants to try and prove that he can play football. I think that he wants to try and prove that he's got some tacticalness about him, and that he's a decent manager, which I understand completely. However, that's not the type of players that we have, or that's not what the majority of players are that we have in this team. And there comes a point where you have to look at it and go, yeah, this isn't working, and we need to change it into something else. And this is what I mean, that's the hill that Farke's going to die on, I think. And it's going to be,
looks like he's picked it
massively. And I can't work out why, because you look at Everton, you look at Newcastle, you look at some of the other games that we've played, so the same as like Fulham, like Bournemouth, like yesterday, for example, where there was a bit of fight and a bit of guile in there, and it's working. Why is there this need to want to that's, again, I'm comfortable with who we are. I'd come to terms with what we were going to be this season. I'd come to terms with that. And we don't have the luxury of those players to be able to play in that way. And I think that's the mistake that he's making. And like I said, I think that's going to be the hill that he's going to die on.
Mm. Yeah, but we've got a tricky run of fixtures coming up. It's only one game, but we have fallen below the point per game that the ownership and the manager have been talking about consistently this season. And we have dropped below the red line into the relegation zone. Now, funnily enough, I was looking at the fixtures, Gerry, coming up for Fulham. I'm not even looking at West Ham and Forest, who are currently sitting above us. I'm looking at Fulham, who are only 3 points ahead of us. And they've got some really tough games coming up as well. And they're not necessarily in great form either. So we might not be necessarily too cut adrift if we don't get the results against Chelsea and Liverpool coming up. But you're then looking at Brentford and Crystal Palace as the games where you're trying to pick up points. But Crystal Palace are currently sitting in 5th in the league. So that's not an easy game either. And that one is at home, but you've got to go away to Brentford. And it feels like Daniel Farke will likely get probably until Brentford away. And that will be the game that might dictate what happens with him if he doesn't get results in the next 3, and that one included. But before then, wouldn't it? Yeah. But he's got City away, which, as you've already said, probably a free hit. And I don't think we can all get too worked up about what they'll do to us, because they've done it to pretty much everybody else. Then you've got Chelsea at home, which you might be able to eke out a draw. Again, it's at home. And then you have Liverpool, who are in an absolutely shocking run of form. I think they've got as many wins as we have in the last 6 games, and as many defeats as well. They're sitting in 12th in the table. Maybe you can nick something there. Or are we the team that we see Liverpool's form turn around in all of a sudden?
Yeah, Dr. Leeds always sort out. If you got a bad run, come to Dr. Leeds. Yeah, it's a shocking run, but you look at the division, this is why we wanted to be up here against these teams. Man City is, I think it's just damage limitation. I really do. You look at Doku and you look at Haaland, you think, oh my God. Chelsea can be brittle at times, and they're coming out of European games and what have you. There's always a chance, but there's always a chance they can do you as well. You saw them against Burnley the other day, and Burnley were in that game for a while. One was keeping down. Liverpool, it can't, as Mick McCarthy, you'd say, Mick, it can't go on. He'd say it can, and hopefully it will. Yeah, it will. And some of the memes coming out about Liverpool today is hilarious, actually. But they're in a terrible run, and I don't think you can underestimate all the stuff with Jota and everything that's gone on with them. I think it has effects, and you can see that. But yeah, they're in a shocking position. Brentford and Palace are games that I'm more worried about, and funnily enough, because they're games people think, we can get something out of these, and they're 2 good teams. And Glasner is a good manager, and what he's done, Gerry. There,
nothing bad ever happened with Leeds against Crystal Palace. We should be fine in that one. Whatever.
Yeah, I know. And in London, they're not there. London and Brentford. Yeah, the last time, all I can see the last time we were in London was Llorente running around like a headless chicken. Although we had that day where we stayed up. But Brentford, canny team as well. Keith Andrews has done brilliantly. So I can't see anything good coming from these 5 games. But you never know. That's the whole point. The pressure's off. But I think we can't go on with before we know it, we could be 4 or 5 points adrift at the bottom, and changing managers very quickly before a transfer window, and then we're not as and if you're adrift, players are going to look there. I don't want to go there. Managers will think, don't want to go there. I don't want a relegation on my CV, and that's the problem. I mean, Jesse, when he got a mad win against Bournemouth, and then a total fluke against Liverpool, and it kept him in the job for February, and we know what happened there. So Paul, I'm very much of the opinion we do need to change manager, and I think we need to do it as soon as. It doesn't matter if the manager comes in and against. I mean, the last time we had a new manager against Man City was Big Sam, wasn't it? That was his first game. Yeah,
6 at the back.
Yeah, 6 at the back, and Melia dropped. I saw Melia in the stand the other day, and as he was walking past me, somebody nipped in the left-hand side and go past him. But anyway, I just thought that's about.
Probably pretty smug right now, is he?
He's probably, yeah. Was he any worse? Anyway, we won't go into the goalkeepers.
Yeah,
well. It is a tough run, and we knew this was coming. And I think it's not this run that's going to define it. It's the points we dropped in the games we should have been picking up points. If Daniel Farke's still there on Saturday, which he probably will, I don't see many changes in the team other than injuries. And it'll be the same old, and we won't get a substitution unless injury till the 70th minute, and it'll be the same. And we will lose, and we know that, but it's how we lose and the manner of it, and it's very concerning at the moment. And we thought we needed to be coming into this run of fixtures on 16, 17 points, just to have that cushion. But everybody's got tough games as well. Maybe Fulham lose and we might get their manager. You never know. He's on rocky ground as well, isn't he? That's one I would.
Thomas Frank, apparently.
Yeah. So Thomas Frank. Yes.
How is Thomas Frank in rocky? He's 3 points off fourth.
I know. And Nuno's not settling in very well either. It's just like, wow.
As Warner could say, it's London, isn't it? It's London.
Yeah, true.
As if he'd ever lived there, he'd commute down once a week. He'd rent a place and go down just for the matches, stay up in his own place, stay in Cornwall for the midweek stuff. Paul, it's a horrible run of games. We know what it is, and as you've already said, we know what the expectation. There's no one here deluded enough to think that Leeds United should be punching away in the mid-table. We know where we want to be. We just want to see this again, this fighting spirit and this fighting identity, to use that word again, that we have shown against Newcastle and Everton first half, against West Ham first half, against Spurs first half, against Aston Villa first half. But we're seeing a huge drop off from Leeds in the second half. I think someone caught me, and I could be Dale that's usually in the comments. May have been, if it's somebody else, I apologise. But Leeds' first half goal difference this season is +1. Leeds' second half goal difference is -10, which tells its own story as well. But if you've got certain managers like Unai Emery, very tactically aware, very good side, very good manager, and he's out loud saying Leeds tire in the second half. We have been told that this Leeds United side are very fit, who run a huge amount of distance and can cover all the ground, and they focused on fitness this summer. And yet we've now got managers and targeting Leeds and going, if we can just let them burn themselves out rope-a-dope until the 60th minute, we can steamroll them towards the end of the game. So with this run coming up, Paul, he's going to have to do so. We can't just go into both these next 3 games and go, let's just get our belly tickled here and see how we go. He needs to try and at least do something to show some sign that things can turn around when we come out of that block of games.
He needs
to I'm saying that because I don't believe he will lose his job any time between now and Brentford.
No, I don't think he will either. He needs to change the formation. That's one thing that he needs to do, particularly for the City game, because I think we go into that game. Yeah, I think we go into that game. We probably will lose that game, and people can say that's defeatist or whatever. That's fine, but let's talk about reality and facts. What we need to make sure it's the manner of how we play and the manner of how we do it. And if we go 4-3-3, we are going to need extra large things of this for that. If we go 4-3-3, battling for the listeners on Jormal podcast music, but that's the thing. We need to set up a little bit. There needs to be a little bit more tactical nous when we're playing, and there doesn't seem to be that with Farke. It's like, I want to play this system and prove that my system works, and it can't be like that over these games. He needs to, if ever there was a time to experiment, now's the time to do it, because it's almost like this game's a free hit. It's almost like Chelsea is a bit of a free hit as well, kind of, maybe, depending on which Chelsea turns up. But I've had all of the confidence sapped out of me. I've had all of the belief sapped out of me, and I don't like feeling that way. I like to try and be analytical about things, and I like to suck into the detail when I'm feeling really low and down about stuff. But even the stats ain't statting anymore in terms of how you look at it, and taking comfort and solace from that. Just, I suppose the only positive that I've got at the moment is Nemecha seems like the likeliest scorer for us at the moment. He seems to be on it.
3 starts.
He seems to be on it very, very well, and long may it continue. But he needs to do something different, whether it's a traditional 4-4-2, whether it's a 4-5-1, whatever it needs to be. God, there's an actual I can't believe I'm saying this. There's probably a pretty good reason for playing Brendan Aronson next weekend.
At some point, anyway.
Yeah, at some point, anyways. But just, we know what it's going to be. That's the thing. It's going to be 4-3-3. It's going to be Aronson on the right-hand side. It's going to be, this is my system. This is how I want us to play. And I just worry that we're going to come out of this next pit of games with everybody's mentality so flat, so on the floor, that there might not be any recovering from it. And like Gerry said, we could get to the end of this block of games and be really far adrift. And if we are really far adrift by that point, you might as well just write off the rest of the season.
Yeah, and that is the unfortunate situation. There's been a lot of comments this week. I've read through nearly every comment this week on the channel, and a lot of people have already resigned themselves to relegation. Some are saying, well, you stick with the manager, you go down, he brings you back up again, and you're like, well, then you're going to get the exact same thing the next time around again anyway from him, because that's how he plays football. But there is a resignment there. But I'm not that kind of person. I believe in fight. I believe in heart, and I believe that there is still always a fight while there's games and numbers still on the board to be achieved. But it is going to be an incredibly difficult run of games. You're hoping that the character and that the morale hasn't taken an absolute kick in by the time you get to Brentford, and at least that then, but the momentum and the morale is a huge factor if you're coming out of those games and you want to get something against the next, so you've got to have something at that point. So yeah, I think the tactical stuff comes down to not only your tactics, it's not only how you play football, but when you're playing sides who will have an abundance of superior quality individual players, as well as collectively far better organized team with better managers like Pep Guardiola and that as well. You've got to have a different tactic to try and nullify their tactic. I see Scott Gardner with John 21's talking an awful lot about we have to understand how the opposition plays so we can nullify what they're doing and nullify their positives and then exploit their weaknesses. Now, Man City don't have a huge amount of weaknesses, but you can frustrate them. You can frustrate them, but it will take a huge amount of effort. And when you don't have the ball, you do a huge amount more work than you do when you do have the ball. So they're going to be more tired, and you are going to need to freshen this up. On the Aronson and Perry and all the other bits and pieces, I've been saying this all week, and I'm sticking with it. Brendan Aronson is not the problem. He is a symptom of the problem. Yaka Bial is not the problem. He is a symptom of the problem. Same with Pascal Struijk when he came out, and same with Lucas Perry in goal. There are bigger issues at hand rather than individual players. Brendan Aronson isn't the reason he's conceded 2 goals. He's not involved in any of the 2 goals that we concede. He's involved in other issues elsewhere on the park where it's not him. It should be a right winger playing there like a Dan James or a Willie Nanto, but they're not. And that's where the frustration comes for that decision, not necessarily Brendan. Illan Meslier was the one last season. The frustration was changed to goalkeeper. He wouldn't do it. All of a sudden, Meslier gets directed at Meslier then because he's the one that's there. You look at Pascal Struijk before he was taken out. Pascal Struijk was the problem. Then we can see 2 goals per game. Him and Darlow are playing. They're both conceding 2 goals a game. Both of them come out and Perry and Bial go in. We concede on average 2 goals per game. Out comes Bial, back in goes Struijk, concede 2 goals a game. So there is a bigger issue there than just 1 or 2 individual players. Yes, you can be frustrated with them. Yes, some of the performances have not been good enough by all of them. I'm not saying that they are, but I am saying that there is a collective problem with how this side is set up at certain moments in game to nullify opposition teams, to try and stop them from capitalizing on our weaknesses. We're not nullifying them at all. And unfortunately, it seems to be the second half where it just keeps on coming back to haunt us no matter what we do. It's the same goals. 9 goals conceded from set pieces this year when the recruitment was designed to make Leeds tougher to play against and tougher to concede from set pieces. And goals coming in from the wing. And it's not just Gabby Goodmunson. Yes, they are coming in from the left, but the goal scorers are the ones that are running from midfield into the penalty area and getting free hits on the goal. So there's bigger systematic issues there that need to be looked at. Gerry, before we wrap it up tonight, any final thoughts you want to leave us with?
Well, I think it's a bigger picture even, because we had from last Christmas really, when we fairly knew we were going to get promoted, as good as the board and the recruitment at all that time, they said, yeah, we 6 months to look at everything. And they've not done a good job. And the way they're handling this with Fark now, whether he goes, and I just don't feel as if we've got leadership in the boardroom. They need to be better. They're supposed to be these high-tech, they know what they're doing. They've run clubs before. They do contracts in their sleep and everything. And so far what I've seen, great, we've got the ground and everything. That's all coming through. But they need to be better. And I don't think they're as good as they're saying. They need to be better and need to show. So I want to see them do that. If we take 4 points out of this group of games, I think we'll have done well. And who knows? Who knows what happens? Get Stuart Dallas back in. We could have won one of those days. That I don't think we will. But we'll go into each game and we'll be there as fans. You only hope for the best, and we'll give it all. And other teams everybody has tough games as well. Trouble is all the results are going against us at the moment. Yeah. Other teams who've changed the manager seems to have turned it round, and other getting results. And we can't. These guys that put a lot of money into it, they must see it. They must watch the podcasts and everything else. I'm sure they do. They keep an eye on the fans. If you look on media and everything, they must see that their investment is not looking good at the moment, and they need to do something radical, I think, and not wait. And if they're businessmen, and if this was a company and I was the CEO, I'd be looking and I'm getting rid of people and changing things because I'm a ruthless bastard. Not really, but I would. You would, wouldn't you? You would. You'd have to change the direction, and you'd see how things are going. And all of a sudden, we've got 26 games left. We're getting, it's getting closer and closer. So do something, or Daniel, do something. And the fans will do something. We'll get behind you, or else we'll do something and get very annoyed. And I think the fans have been patient, as Paul said.
Yeah, being patient.
We understood what it's going to be like. No one was expecting Europe, like he said. Yes, we're emotional, but we're allowed to be emotional because we're fans. And and as we said, we're balanced and we know what's going on. We can see it in front of our eyes. But if it's not working, do something different, please.
Yeah.
And other than that, I'm going to have a great weekend at the Etihad.
Yeah, I know. Well, to be fair, he's talked about 9 wins and 10 draws this season. So he's got 16, 18 games to get results out of 26, 28 games, whatever it is that's left. So he's running out of games as well.
Like that's Ferrari, but whether I do or
yeah. Well, that's the thing, isn't it? Yeah. Paul, any final thoughts before we wrap up?
Yeah, I think one of the things that I want to be clear on as well, a lot of us, we sit here and we give our views and opinions and we talk about it. There is, I walked into that game Saturday into Ellen Road to sit down, and from the minute the whistle blew, I was supporting the players and I was supporting the manager as well. At the end of the day, we want this to be a success. We want to see this go right. How that happens is completely out of our hands. That's down to the managers, or it's down to the board maybe making a change or making a decision. But regardless of how we feel and what we talk about during the week and what we say about things, as soon as we either turn the radio on to listen to the game, watch it on the TV, or are lucky enough to be at the ground to watch the game, we're supporting the team.
Yeah.
Regardless, we're there to support the team. That's what we'll do. We'll shout, we'll sing. My throat is still sore from singing and starting chants on Saturday in support of the lads, and that's what we will always try and do. And at the end of the day, we all want what's best for the club. We all want what's best for the fans. We all want to be happy and be proud of what we're seeing. Fortunately, some of the performances just haven't lived up to that so far this season, and we criticise and we try to do it in a balanced and fair way. I don't think that we're being unreasonable in some of the things that we're saying.
No, we've praised the team. We've praised the manager, and we've praised the team this season when they've got it right.
100%. And I think that's the important thing to do. But you have to take the rough with the smooth as well. At the moment,
ups and downs, as the song says, Paul.
Absolutely. I just would also like to say one last thing as well. Villa were extremely silent up until the point that they scored their second goal. Even after their first goal went in, they were very, very quiet. And then when the second goal went in, they didn't really start singing until about the 88th minute, I think they started singing. So yeah, it's just just go and just go and do a thing and just make us not have to be so down in the dumps. That's all I'm asking. But we will.
No matter the feelings in the manager, no matter the feelings on the squad or the players, whatever it is, once the whistle goes for kickoff, every single one of us want Leeds United to win. And that means the manager, the players, everyone else. I would love nothing more than Daniel Farke to be able to give all of us the two fingers and go on one hell of a run and keep this side in the Premier League, because that means Leeds have been successful. All I want is the badge on the front of the shirt to be a success. That's all I care about. It's all I want. It's not a personal dig at anybody. It never is. It's just football. That's just how the game is.
Brendan get a hat trick. I'd love him.
Great.
Make me humble pie.
Great. Absolutely. We take it absolutely all day long. So yeah, absolutely. Right, folks, we'll wrap it up there. Longer one tonight, but yeah, a bit of a therapy session as we said at the start as well. But you can check Paul out on the Leeds Therapy. You can check Gerry McNamee out on X at GerryMac123. Lads, handles are down below on the descriptions. Paul's at PDB1980 on X as well. If you're listening to the audio, you want to check Paul out as well, or the Leeds View on all of our socials as well, if you want to go support us there. Right, I'm back tomorrow morning with the news. Outside that, have a great rest of your evening or morning whenever you're watching this. Talk to you soon. See you later. Bye.
Bye.